decided to also roll the name for a character today, and the name of the character came as Asdrid. And Asdrid is a warrior that was cast out, like games suggests. And she came from somewhere far from the east into this bigger island and into the Björkjöri. She proved herself within the village. She has lived here now for a few months and she has been accepted as a part of the community. She proved herself to be a brave warrior, also a great hunter and even better sailor. Now the biggest question is that what will drive her to go into the fort that the undead lives in? I think both villages have tried to send some scouts in there from time to time. So they have like a general idea that the place is infested. I think they will just say that the place is cursed and the dead roams there. They probably have lost some lives while trying to get the lay of the land in there. Why would they want to go there? Is there any table that we could roll? Get some inspiration. Adjective, not maybe. You know the thread already as well. Loot, there could be some valuable item that we could try to take. Let's roll a theme table to see if we could get some kind of general grasp of what is the motivation for the both villages to try to go there. 11 and 1. 3. Poverty. Okay, that makes sense. So these two islands are very barren. There is barely anything to eat and I think they are struck by famine. The fish haul this year has not been great and their only option would be to have access into this forest. And I think they know that the forest is lurking with different dangers and they desperately need to go back into the fort and reclaim it. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to survive and thrive again. And I think, yeah, that is good enough. It will be the adventure for today. Honest attempt to try to retake the fortress, have a decent chance in life for the both of these villages, all of these people that live in the Isles. And I think Asdrid feels like she has a lot to prove and she has promised to take the lead in this quest. And she has promised all these tribe members in Björkjöri retake the fortress for them. And she has basically said to everyone there, for me there is no other option. Either I come back to you victorious or I'll die trying. Look for me in the horizon. I will be back. And how many people will she get to come with her? I think that is a really good question. Maybe we could take our first test of the day. And what would it be, save or test? It's uncertain. I think this is just a test. We will make a test to see if her warrior speech inspired other people to come with her. So we can roll and see if people were inspired. I think this will be a challenging roll just because it will be very dangerous. The danger rating is 3 and the place is basically infested with undead. So people are not very keen on coming with her. Let's see if we get even 1. 5 plus 3 is not enough. And the setback will be that I think the people don't trust her still enough. She has lived here for a few months and they feel like she doesn't still like fully understand and they feel like this is a suicide mission. So they will send her on her own to this adventure. Asdrid is very disappointed, but she just nods slowly. I understand. I will light the fires in the highest tower of the fortress. You will then know that the fortress has been cleared. It's safe to come. She just readies herself. It's kind of very shallow waters boat. I think that it could be only like a rowing boat, and she will set off into the island itself, into the fortress. She leaves from this island here, and I think she tries to first go a little bit farther away from the fortress, and then she tries to use the forest in her advantage and come from behind. So it will take some time for her to go there and even try to navigate through the forest. That is her plan anyway. She arrives to the forest, which is this kind of taiga forest of pine woods, and there are some trees with leaves as well, but far and few between, and also the coast is very rocky. She manages to find a place for her boat, and she pulls it ashore and turns it over. She takes her trusty axe, then just starts to head into the forest. And we could make some kind of scouting roll first to see if she is able to keep her bearings. Like, it's fairly easy to navigate in here, but we will definitely have to roll with a save, because if we fail, I think the consequences will be that there is some kind of danger. So scouting through the forest would probably be willpower. So we will roll willpower. This will be an fairly easy roll, because the area itself is quite easy to navigate, but we are in difficulty rating of 3, so that means we will pick 3 cards, and every black card will make it even harder. The difficulty is 10. Now we will take 3 cards. 1, luckily it was red. Actually bring it here so you can see. Second card, black. So now our rating is 12. And the third card, which is black. So now the difficulty rating is 14. And now we will see if we can survive through the woods and not get attacked by anything, for example. That is 10, and our willpower was 0, so we will fail the check, which means that we can mark now XP. The GM may also introduce new consequence. The easy option would be that we are attacked by this kind of undead forces, but could we also try to roll a different kind of threat from here? Threat: Bewitched Spirit, Whaleless Seer, Broken Rune, Rival Tribe, The Blight, Rain Cult, Cursed Land, Animal Pack, Decaying Titan, Unseen Folk, Erratic Weather. Mostly they are some kind of encounters. Could we try to do something else? I will roll a theme again. 4 and 11. Industry, rocks. So it is some kind of mining related. So within the forest, Asdrid will come across a mine. And I think what it means that Asdrid is scouring through the forest, and she tries to keep her wits and also try to be as silent as possible. And I think that she comes across these undead old warriors that have been long deceased, running erratically within the forest. And I feel like she also comes across these wolves that starts to growl at her. When she turns, she sees this wolf basically has its head halfly scalloped, and this wolf is alive no more. The corruption has brought it back up, and the wolf tries to make an attack. Asdrid takes few running steps, but then ground crumbles from beneath her, and she basically falls to this old mine. And I will make another save to see if Asdrid can somehow embrace herself while falling down. I think rating for this is normal check, because it is 50-50. We don't know what kind of mine it is and how deep it is. So it will be 12, and then again, because it's a save, we will add the cards. Joker, well, that doesn't count because the game doesn't have any jokers. Red, no modifier. Red, no modifier. Red, no modifier. That is a relief. So it is only 12. Will it be strength or dexterity? I think it will be dexterity. The fall wasn't that big, but it is deep enough that it will possibly cause some damage and hurt if she doesn't fall down properly. So let's roll with dexterity, straight up 12. We have +1 for this. That is 2, almost 20. So we fail again. We'll take another experience. And the consequence for this action is definitely hurting us. Is there any implication of like different damages? There is only damage die, which is from D4 to D12. GM decides. So I would say it's not that big of a fall. So let's say it's a D4 damage. We take 3 damage from the fall. So we are now down to 5 hit points. Asdrid basically like falls down within the mine and kind of like and hits herself into the ground. This could have been a good place to take a condition as well, but I think those conditions can be quite hindering, so let's just go with the damage. I don't think the fall was that big of a deal that it would like completely wreck something of her physically. She is basically like on the ground. She can see the wolf looking from the hole up. I think the wolf won't follow for now. Wolf will just run into the distance and probably tries to find another way into the mine. Asdrid lifts herself up and maybe tries to clean some of the dirt out of herself, and she has now 2 difficult options. She could basically try to climb up, but it looks very difficult. But she could also take a plunge into the mines. She looks at her environment, and this mine has to be connected to the fortress somehow. Maybe it could lead me there. Is there some kind of torch conveniently, like somewhere? Is there like any torch holders that she could see and maybe take a torch from? That we can ask from the oracle. There is no 50-50 chance. Okay, so there is either likely or very likely or unlikely, somewhere between. So I would say let's say it's very likely. Actually, very likely is 50-50. Okay, so if we roll over, the answer is yes, and if we roll under, the answer is no. 50-50. 2. So no, there is no light whatsoever. So she has 2 options now. She could either plunge into the darkness and never find a way out, or she could try to climb. And I think she ponders her options. She just realized that I have to climb. There is no other choice, really. And this is, unfortunately, this is going to be a save, because there is definitely a chance of her falling again. That could hurt her, and there is still the wolf lurking. There is a lot of difficulties. Overall climbing, I think the rating is again very basic, 12. So it will be 14, it will be 16, it will be 18. So 18 will be the difficulty for this roll. And this will be strength. Let's see what happens. 5. Will fail again, which means we get another experience. This has been a very good learning experience for Asdrid, definitely. And I think the consequence is that she takes her axe and she uses her axe as some kind of like grappling hook. She's able to bring herself back up, and she barely can, like, she can barely lift herself up, and she's tired from climbing all that way up, but she manages to go up until she can hear this undead beast of a wolf that didn't go anywhere. It was just waiting for her to come back up. I think we have to go into the combat now. So we will need some kind of monster stat block. Let's try to convert some OSR beast using some kind of OSR beast theory. So here I have gaming statistics for Winter Wolf and Warg. I think Warg could work quite well for us, just because we are dealing with this kind of undead beast of a wolf zombie. So we can use the hit dice of 3, which is like gives the idea of that wolf being quite like difficult to deal with. And it has one d6 of damage, that is our weapon die, and the AC, the armor class is 14. What we will take from this, I think the 3 hit dice, and we can roll that right now to get the resilience amount. I will go easy on myself and I will roll these with d6s. So 6 plus 5, that is 11 points. So the resilience attack of the wolf is d6. And I think, again, because of the undead nature, armor, it at least has like a d4 of defense, and that is just basically, it doesn't necessarily cut through the way you would want. So that's why it has an armor of d4. I will also do a little bit of my own homebrew, and I will also give this creature a rating, which is now 10. And the rating is the base amount that we are needed to succeed with our attacks and to succeed with our defenses. So Asdrid slowly picks off her axe. She realizes that it is dangerous to try to attack this kind of beast head on. She slowly first starts to walk back, and when she sees that the wolf starts to follow her, she will quickly turn and first just tries to climb into a tree as fast as possible and try to get some distance between her and the wolf. So we can try to make a save and gain an advantage in this situation. Will this be... This is just dexterity, because we will try to get out of the way. And I will say the base is 10. Because we got the initiative, we are a little bit quicker than the wolf. So the base is 10 to trying to climb into the tree. And then we add the difficulty. Red, so no additional black. So now it's +2. And then it is 14. It's the difficulty. 14, and we will add +1 to our modifier. That is a 4, which means we will add experience again. And Asdrid tries her best to just run and jump into the tree, but she's not fast enough, and the wolf is right behind her and is trying to open its big jaw and take a heavy bite out of Asdrid. Asdrid has to defend from this attack. How will she try to defend? I think she realizes that she is not fast enough, so she tries to like turn and put her axe in between the jaws of this big wolf before it can fully take a bite out of Asdrid. So she will use her strength to try to survive from this. And now the rating of the wolf was 10, and again we will pull the cards, see how this is modified. First one is black, so it will be at least 12. It will be 14. It will be 16. 16 with our +2 modifier. Hopefully we can save this. Oh no. And that is 7, which is not enough. Again, we gain some experience. I have failed all of the checks, by the way. Feeling great. I even failed the basic test before we start. This is basically the base of OSR. The difficulties are high in the low levels and modifiers are low, so that there's a chance to succeed are below 50%. So she gets the axe between her and the wolf in time, but the wolf's like comes with full force, so it even goes through from the axe to, like, she cannot hold the wolf. So the wolf will deal d6 damage and we have our d4 defense. So let's see how much damage the wolf deals to us. Luckily our defense was enough. The attack is actually blocked. Well, the wolf damage was only 2 and our roll was 3, so I would say it's not even like, it's not enough just yet to damage Asdrid in any way, but like wolf is basically chewing the axe right now, so if nothing changes, Asdrid will be in big trouble. Asdrid basically just pushes the wolf away, flips the axe and just tries to get a decent hit in. This is just a straight up attack roll, and I think attack was also a save, right? Both cases make a save, so yes, attacks is also a save. So we will again, the rating is 10, we will pick a card which is black again, so it will be at least 12, red and red, so it is 12 that we need to beat. Here we go. That is 6, so again with using strength is 8, we will fail the check again, but we will mark experience. But now it only means that our damage die is now lowered to d4, and the wolf's armor is d4, so there is still a possibility that we deal at least a bit of damage. Yellow is Asdrid and black is the wolf's defense die or armor die. And that is 3 for the wolf, so no damage has been dealt this round. So Asdrid tries to swing her axe, but this undead wolf just jumps back and just tries to leap back in, and it's not giving up on Asdrid anytime soon. So again, Asdrid has to make save against this bite attack, and again she tries to like keep the wolf at bay with her axe, which means she will use strength again in this defense. 10 plus 12, 14, 16. So it will be against an attack of 16. This will be rough. Come on, 1 success. I'm rolling so I haven't rolled double digits once in this whole game. So this is 4 plus 4 plus 2 is 6. Not enough. So the wolf's attack will go through again. E4 is Asdrid's defense and the 6 is wolf's attack. 4-4, but it is blocked. But now the damage was basically equal amount of the armor. Asdrid has to sacrifice her axe or her armor. She gets the axe the way of the wolf. The axe just breaks in half and the wolf basically just spits the axe out. And at that point Asdrid just like turns and tries to just book it. So we will remove our axe, and now this is basically a chase scene. So the initiative is with Asdrid. She will try her best to just basically run into the forest. I think she will try to run to the coast and just try to like swim and hope that these undead creatures do not go into the water. So she just starts running directly into the direction of water. Luckily she's not that far from the shore, but I think it needs at least 2 saves before she is able to go there. So now she just starts to run, and let's see if she's able to get away from the wolf. So again, it's a save. It will be at least +1. I forgot to say the rating. It's a wolf. It's quite fast. Just this round, the wolf was distracted. It's going to be 12. Now it's going to be 14, and it's going to be 16. 16 against Asdrid's dexterity +1. So Asdrid is quickly, just desperately trying to run into the shore. 13 +1 is 14, which is not enough. She gets 1 more experience, and I think the wolf gets 1 bite out of her in this situation. I think the wolf bounces on top of Asdrid and is basically holding Asdrid down right now. And now it's trying to bite itself deep into the Asdrid right now. And this is unfortunately, this is a save, a strength save that Asdrid tries to like pull the wolf like on top of her. This is going to be with disadvantage. It only makes sense. And with disadvantage, it's 5. And I even forgot to actually put the ratings. So, the roll would have been only 14, but it's still not enough with 5 with disadvantage. So we got another we gain a level already. It has definitely been a learning experience for Asdrid. I think we roll damage. And it will deal 1 additional damage to Asdrid when its bite goes through the hide armor. It's the only thing that is protecting Asdrid right now. Let's think for a second. What aspects could help Asdrid survive in this situation? She doesn't have any items. She is held down by a wolf, undead wolf might I add. And she can almost see the shore and the water already. She just has to try to push herself up. Just find anything that she could. She tries to like grab something out of the wolf's throat that is basically like out in the open. Just tries to like grab hold of something and create a moment, possible second of escape. If she can succeed in this save, I would say she succeeds in running away. This is going to be dexterity, because it's like if she can find any kind of piece of anatomy, a piece of anatomy from within the wolf that could like, she could like rip off, basically. So this is kind of like the improvised attack in a sense. This is basically a feat, and I would say if she succeeds in this, this will be a D12 damage. If she can find a nerve, it's going to be quite difficult. I would still, there's no advantages or disadvantages, it's just a straight roll. So the difficulty rating is still 10 because of the wolf, and it's going to be 12, it's going to be 14, it's going to be 14, and it's going to be dexterity 14. Let's roll. That is 11 plus 1 is 12, which is not enough. What happens when you get more than 8 experience? I will just keep it here for now. When your experience track is filled, you receive a blessing from your Vanori. So it happens instantly, basically. When your XP track is filled, you receive a blessing from your Vanori. Yes. So at this moment, basically, I'll take it because we need all the help we can get right now. Okay, I will at least resolve this situation first before I start to roll stats for my character. So we fail in the attempt to make the attack. But which means we at least deal a lesser amount of damage. And I already stated that it was d12, so we can at least deal d10 still. So hopefully we create some kind of damage to the wolf. Here I will also roll the defense die for the wolf. That is 7, and the wolf gets full defense of 4, so it's 3 damage to the wolf, which is actually the first damage that we managed to deal into the wolf. So Asdrid tries to get a grab of a hold of something, anything that could help her not to be eaten. And she manages to pull something, and she can hear this guttural roar of this undead wolf. But it is not enough. And let's ask for the oracle. Was it enough to give Asdrid a little bit of time to escape? I will say it's unlikely just because we failed at the attack roll. And I won't take the risk ready now, this roll. It's just 14. It's a 10, so it is not enough that the wolf would be knocked back. It is enough that Asdrid momentarily can turn around, that she's not laying like this on the ground anymore, like face into the ground. She can turn around, so she has at least her hands that she might be able to hold the wolf back, and the wolf will try to attack, and Asdrid is basically holding the wolf with her bare hands right now and trying to just not be eaten, and this is a defense save, definitely. And before that, now we shall resolve the level. We'll draw a card for each attribute first. King, our strength rises to +4 because it was a heart. Our willpower goes into +2 as well. Best cards are in the last. Dexterity. There is a lot of red cards, by the way. We have pulled so many black cards right now. So dexterity goes to 2. Our heart. Black was that we get a bad omen. Well, you can say that again. You will see a bad omen. Well, we'll see that probably after this. No, okay, it would be actually cool. So she is holding the wolf, and basically like this undead goo from this wolf's mouth just goes into her face, and she can suddenly see, she can basically see in the air, like just past the wolf to the sky, and she can see like these crows just start to like fall down from the sky, and she can really feel corruption developing even more now when it has been disturbed by her presence. And we will still roll the resilience, draw a card for our resilience. It is diamond, and I think our resilience goes up by 1. Yes. So our resilience is now 5 out of 9. While this all is happening, while she tries to not to get eaten, she like feels elk spirit within her. And she can feel this warm breeze, and she feels stronger. So she just tries to really fight back wolf's mouths right now. This is a save with using strength, and we'll pull the cards. It will be at least 12 and 12. This is now against +4 now. Hopefully we will manage to succeed in this. 18! And we do. With this new resolve within her, Asdrid can now pull the wolf down and basically starts to wrestle with the wolf. For the first time now, getting the upper hand. She basically like throws the wolf for a second. And with this rage, with this battle rage rising from within her, she can see this big rock next to her. She basically just takes the rock and tries to bash undead wolf's skull in. And I would say this is a D8 attack. And let's make an attack roll using our newfound strength. Again, the rating. Nothing negative, nothing negative. Will be 12. That is natural 20, which means not only we will get a card for ourselves, we will rise up that D8 to D10 against the wolf. But actually, instead of rising the damage die to D10, it will be a D8, and because we have the upper hand, we get another attack in right away, because the Asdrid has now tumbled the wolf down, and she has the upper hand, and she's able to like hit with the giant rock and beat this wolf. So let's roll the defense die and the attack die. That is only 1 from the defense and 7 of the damage, so that's 6 points of damage. The wolf is almost down, and the wolf takes this big hit into its spine. The wolf's movements start to look really difficult, and Asdrid, with the newfound strength, just on full rage, just shouts like "Ah!" and hits the creature another time. Now against the wolf again. Difficulty of 3, no modifiers, it's base 10 with +4. 11 is enough. Asdrid deals the damage again against this creature, and that is enough to take down. We get 6 from damage and only 1 for the defense, and we receive another red card. Asdrid just bashes the wolf into non-existence. Oh boy. Asdrid just takes a deep breath. I need another axe. She just starts to like slowly crawl towards her boat. And she's just like, oh, next time I just walk next to the shore. I think that can be a lot easier. Yeah. It seems like we have only 1 card left, and I have a quite good hunch. I haven't tried to be counting the cards, but I know it's a red card, so we can end this demonstration just taking a break. And Asdrid will take half an hour, just try to catch her breath a little bit. And we will also use 1 card that we received. I think we should rather use the red one, because hearts are more valuable. Come prepared, earn card, so we can now assume that when she's resting within the boat, she finds another spare axe that she took with her. So we are taking a short rest, catch our breath, and we will reveal our final card. And that will determine. Oh, it wasn't. It was trouble. I remember incorrectly. So we will receive only one hit point. So we are only 6. When she receives her axe, has just enough time to take a few breaths. She can hear this. She can see that she is surrounded by undead, and now she can also see that the undead are also rising from the shallow waters. She is surrounded. She just basically swings the axe in her hand, just says to herself, Come back with glory. Come back dead. And see, she charges in, fight this horde of undead. And we can end our one shot there, because that is kind of like epic end for this episode. Ooh, that was quite a ride. Definitely. Okay, let's take a little break, and then I have some final comments of the system. Welcome back from the adventure. It is now about 2 days after the adventure, and now I have had some time to process the game. I have read the rules like few more times, and I also played a little bit more by myself as well, because I really wanted to develop my thoughts of the game before I give my final comments of the game. Okay, first of all, Songs and Sagas, Axes and Runes role-playing. Does it provide you an OSR-inspired mythical Viking adventure out of the box, as it intends to do? An answer to that, I think definitely yes. It is simplified OSR-ish game that you can play. And I think it is fairly enjoyable, and you can definitely get fun out of this game. And with the price that it's probably going to be, I think it was like $3, it's definitely worth it, and I think you should check it out. That said, I have few comments about the game. The problem with many of these OSR games and clones, especially when people advertise them, like Fari RPG's point is also to be accessible. Overall, the term accessible can be really general, so I would firstly specify what accessible means, because accessible can mean so many different things for so many different people. Technical standpoint, nothing can be ever truly accessible. It can be more accessible. It's a term that I would use lightly, because the term itself comes with so much weight and expectation, and that might lead people astray unintentionally and unmaliciously, and that can create unnecessary friction for this great game. And what is also a big issue with most OSR games, they always tend to expect that the reader of that game, especially the short ones, are expected to know about basic functions of role-playing and have like pre-established notions of how role-playing games should work. And definitely in this case, if this game is going to be your first game, I think brevity is an enemy of clarity in this instance as well. As it usually is, it is so difficult to create rules that are very light and brief, but rules that are very clear. And that's why I personally think it is more difficult to make one-page rule games than make a bigger game, where you have more time to explain the systems thoroughly. Yes, it is easy to make one-page rule game where you create it to people who have pre-established notions of the game. Like these few-page short rule games are really good for new players if they have an experienced GM with them to further explain why we are doing things the way we are. And I think the biggest confusion with the game comes with the term setback, which is used both in tests and saves. Because I got an answer from RP, how you setbacks in tests is basically that you won't gain any XP on tests that we knew. You won't draw any cards on tests, and that we knew as well. But also like it is only like a narrative oracle kind of situation. So I don't think you can't either lose any HP or break any items or anything like that. Or maybe you can, I don't know. That is like the unclear point. And what makes it really unclear is that the tests say that when outcome is uncertain, but it doesn't involve any risk. And the idea of if you fail, there is a setback that can harm your character, I feel like that is definitely a risk. And one of the arguments with using terms tests and saves was that it is, again, like an accessible reason because they are predetermined familiar terms. But if this is a game for new players, they don't necessarily understand what the tests and saves have meant in some other games. And it can be also a little bit confusing also for a new player, because you roll saves to attack, and that is something that I don't think I have ever come across before. Definitely in short games, what kind of terms you use for different things and how consistent are they, and are there any similarities, that is really important. It is so important in these short games because everything revolves around these few mechanics, and if they are unclear, it can really hinder the gameplay down a little bit. And that is like my only like real criticism of the game. The rest of the things I'm going to say, these are just like my ideas and how I feel like it would be cool. This doesn't necessarily mean that this would be any better or worse game with this or without these things. One of the things I was thinking about was the idea of success. And if no cards were burned for the roll, you must pick a red card over a black card. So the idea of this rule is that when I pick a card, and if I have not burned any cards, I have to pick up a red card, which is positive card for my deck. Because naturally, if we would want to like play the game, whenever we would pick a card from the table to our hand, of course we would want to pick the black cards, because those are negative cards, and more black cards we have in our hand, the more easier our future and the oracle and the deck will be, because there is much more red options, which were the positive options. So this, at the same time, this game is encouraging you to burn the cards from your hand, and I think it works fine as it is. But I had an idea of like, what if instead of just forcing people to burn the cards, what if we would make the red cards more valuable for the player? So basically, then it becomes this duality of wanting to burn those red cards for better effects and wanting to use the black cards from your hand first. The more you keep those red cards in your hand, the more difficult whole world will be, and your future looks much more grim when you are keeping those red card, those strands of destiny in your hand. So yeah, it could create this much more interesting dynamic of players wanting to keep the positive things for themselves and use them at the right moment, but more they are holding on to them, the more dreadful the world will look for them as well. You could still use the same rule that when you don't burn any cards and succeed in a roll, so then it becomes like this: you were so good that you succeeded with this opposition roll even though there were like extra opposition, and now you can get the red card, and it feels like special moment instead of like, oh, you didn't burn any cards, so now you have to pick the red card and make the game difficult for yourself. Like, you could make it a positive thing to also pick up the red card, but still keep like the balance of, okay, you got this positive thing, but if you don't use it fast, the world will become more dangerous and difficult place. And making the red card more valuable is really easy. You can just say that you can use those character abilities from your spirit guardians only by using the red cards, for example. Or you could make a rule that when you get those +2 bonuses from black cards, you could get +3 bonus from the red card. And this next thing is a really small gripe that I have with the game, but there is an ability with the burning cards section called turn the tables. Turn the table. Turn a setback into a success, but as a result, GM introduces new consequences in the scene. So we have determined by the game's rules that the success is you gain a control of a moment in the scene and narrate what happens next. So with a success in this game, the player who succeeded with the roll has the narrative moment and can decide the outcome of what happens next. And that is a big and amazing thing to have in that moment, that you can narrate what happens next. That is that is what you're fighting for, that momentary narrative control. So what the turntable basically means that you can turn a setback into a success, but you will still anyway suffer a setback, because setback does that you mark XP and GM may also introduce new consequences. So with a setback you gain XP and suffer a consequence. You succeed but still suffer a consequence, but you don't get XP. So I know that the idea is to succeed with a cost by using the card, but instead of that, I would modify turn the table as a rule. Instead of burning one card that you can turn the table, you would just plain out succeed. End of story. You get the narrative moment and decide what happens. But instead of just burning one card, you would need to burn all your cards, and you would need to have at least one red card. Or you could rule that you have to have at least one card of each color. So then the cost of using that ability is a lot higher, and you would have to like give everything that you have in order to succeed. And I think that would fit really well into this mythic Viking Nordic inspired game where like you are fighting a battle, you have rolled the dice and you are just getting those black cards and you are just failing and failing, and you have like one black card and one red card in your hand, and you're like, I can't defeat this, these odds are overwhelming. And then you just, because you can use these actions at any point, then you just try to roll, and it would be the last, like the roll when you fail completely. Then you just burn all the cards and turn the tables and decide that this was the moment that you succeed. And I get what they tried to do with the rest mechanic of that you draw a card and you get different types of healing, and then it's also like checking for encounters at the same, like everything happens at the same time. But I feel like this game would benefit for being a little bit more generous with the resting and healing in this case. And I know it's a North Star game, it's supposed to be a deadly game, but a little bit of help would not hurt in that case. And I think our adventure gameplay was really good example on how volatile these games can sometimes be, because yeah, in every game you can roll really badly and it could be really unpleasant. I really enjoyed the game overall. I didn't mind that we rolled really badly like most of the time. I really think it underlined the idea of like being this gritty Viking adventure. I think it's also really well highlighted the wonder of that you will hit every time, even if you miss. You just roll a lesser die for damage, and I think that is really good rule. That was really well implemented, taking the idea from Into the Odd games and Mouse Reader and Cairn and all these Into the Odd inspired games and implementing that into OSR Roll to Hit. I think that was really good choice. But then I think the combat can be quite slow in a sense that even though you have still the possibility to hit every time, but then you roll first to attack and then you roll to damage, and that armor die is also variable. So you have chance to miss and then you have chance to not do damage. And I think that can really grind the game to a halt. And what I would do here is probably put flat numbers to armor. And that doesn't still mean that there wouldn't be rounds where damage is not made, but at least with the idea that you can still try to roll for damage even if you fail just with smaller dice, there is still a little bit better chances that damage is dealt when the armor is in a flat value. Like, I think the 3 tiers 1, 2, 3 is just fine. And final thing about the experience, I see what they went with when they did the same kind of idea from Mörkborg or Dragonbane, where characters can draw a card and see if their attribute either changes or stays the same. And they also introduced like these kind of like these bad things that you will get like bad omen. Well, your Vanori shows your vision for resilience. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is not explained in any way what does that mean. So it's just like giving you a narrative hook through experience, and I think that is that can maybe be also a little bit confusing. And I also think why this idea of your character becoming better or worse when they level up works in Mörkborg is because that game is satirically intended to be this volatile and dangerous game where the leveling does really not matter. The whole thing, the whole mechanic for leveling is basically like, yeah, your GM tells you when you level up. Like, it doesn't matter. The game highlights it like, it really doesn't matter. Do what you do. It's not the main point of this game. And that is exactly correct. That the leveling is not a thing in Mörkborg. But in this game, when you have experience, you have points that your characters will get out of going into bad situations and somehow surviving them. And you collect 8 experience points. And you finally hit that 8 experience and you become better. Just then to just get maybe a bad omen, or you can see a vision and your stats stay basically the same. I feel like it can possibly bum out some players unintentionally, because the expectation to be better is mechanized in this game. To collect all those XP and not get anything out of it, that might not be well received with the players. Because you have set up the expectation that something happens. And then if nothing happens, or something even a bit negative happens, it can lead to disappointment. Overall, I think this game has a lot of potential, and I can see a big modding community rising up to this game. And definitely this is a base to really start creating interesting adventures as well. And I think the community support and their continued support to the game will be the determining factor if this game is going to be big, or if this is going to be another OSR clone or OSR reimagined. It has the potential to be a big thing, definitely. All the mechanics are there. It is really nicely laid out overall. So it remains to be seen. Once more, thank you for RP and Fari RPG for opportunity to have a look at your game. Once again, congratulations for your great effort and work. The game looks crisp, and yeah, it was fun to experience overall. But that's all for me. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and maybe you have now a little bit better idea of if Songs and Sagas is a game for you. If you liked the video, then like the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I will have a bunch of other games that I will probably give my overview on. Links are down below. Go give Fari RPG a follow. They have done other amazing works as well. And now, until next time, moro moro.